hopefully you can see that this is a framework that I talk about in some of the trainings that I conduct to describe a competition for people who want to be stronger strategically. Let me make it a little bigger. It's probably better. So it's a simple framework, but oftentimes having a framework is very, very helpful for you to at least go through some kind of checklist. Who are your direct competitors? So people who really could be substitutive of whatever it is you do or whatever product you bring. Who are indirect competitors? Those that are broadly targeted at the same problem, but are not necessarily a substitute for you, your service, or your product. Think about your offering. What is it you bring to the market? What's the range? What's the scope of the things that you do, that you offer, that you can bring to the table? What's your position? How big are you? How big are they? So what's your position in the market? What's your market share? How fast are you growing? How fast are others growing? Many companies, certainly in the pharmaceutical industry, they use something that's called an evolution index. If you divide your growth over the growth of the market, what's that index? If it's superior to 1 or 100%, then you're growing faster than the market. If it's less, then the market's growing faster than you. Pricing strategies. How are you pricing your offering? How is that strategically different from whatever your competitors are doing? What's the rationale? What's the rhyme and reason for whatever your pricing strategy is? Do you have a specific reason why your price is lower or higher? And what do you want that price to do? How is that going to impact your size, your growth, your penetration of your market? Marketing and branding. What are their channels? Where do they market? What are their messages? What's the promise that they bring, that they make every time that they advertise something? What are the key elements of their message? So those are things that you need to understand too. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? I remember when I was in a consumer goods company, we had a very, very strong, I was in Latin America at the time, and we had a very, very strong competitor that dominated the toothpaste space. And for us, it was really important to understand what their strengths were. They were fantastic with the distribution channels, very, very smart about their pricing. They had a lineup that talked to different segments of the market with very specific pricing strategies. They had a weakness in that was the one thing they were strong at, and they were trying to go into other products that they were not quite as good at. They were not as focused in. And so we used that as inroads to eat into the market. We were strong across the board, so it was easier for us to be big in the other categories that were a little bit of a distraction for this other player, and that allowed us to create more space in the toothpaste market. So that's just one example, but you need to understand what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and what are the implications for you. How strong are they financially? Do they have cash enough? We also had, in some other company, we had a competitor that was just burning through their cash. They were advertising so much that we saw their market share do this, like go up really, really sharply, and our market share was eroded, from that growth. But their investments were so aggressive in advertising that we decided to stay the course. And these guys just burned through their cash. So they ran out of money and they stopped our advertising almost altogether. And that's when we not only recovered, but we picked up more market share than we had lost initially. Their capital structure, are they incurring in a lot of debt? What's their competitive advantage or disadvantage if you think about their financial wherewithal? And finally, what's the feedback that they get from the marketplace? What can you exploit from there so that you can better drive that growth into the advantage of your company? So simple framework. I'm sure there's a lot more, but I hope that this is useful. If you would like me to send you this in PDF form, drop me a note, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll send it back to you. It's free to download.